It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity. It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity.
Hello, model citizens. Welcome to Humanity Junction. Tonight's show is inspired by a podcast that was done by the Crossing Gate. If you have not seen it, the link to their podcast is down in the description. But this is about rabbit holes because we all love our rabbit holes, and I thought I would kind of look back a little bit and also look forward at kind of all of the various rabbit holes I have been in, that I'm still in, that I am going to be in. So we'll see where this takes us. Who knows? We'll maybe talk a little bit about the rabbit holes that everybody else has been in as well. I do want to point out that I have a poll going. The poll is basically, some people say hello at the beginning of the stream to everybody in the stream. Other people just jump right in, and you basically get recognized by participating in the chat and having your comments come up on screen. I'm thinking about cutting out the individual hellos and just getting right into the train talk. Well, when I say right into the train talk, as much as I get sent on tangents, we'll get into the train talk. So let your voice be heard. Go ahead and vote. Right now there's 41 votes. 32% are saying to give individual hellos. 67% are saying just get on with it. Let's talk trains. So for tonight, I'm going to do that. If people can help remind me, I did this same poll on Sunday night, and then I completely forgot to look at the poll before I closed out, and now there's no way for me to see what those poll results are. So if somebody wants to remind me to look at the poll, that would be appreciated. And I just realized this wasn't scrolling. I was like, why isn't anyone commenting on what I said? Lynn says, jump right in. Steve says, I have a couple rabbit holes in the yard, a few snake holes, and probably a coyote house. Hope you don't twist an ankle. That's all I have to say. Roy says, less helloing, more content. Race fan giving the little rabbits going on. But if you don't say hi, how will we know that you know we are here? Well, that brings up a very interesting fact of live streaming. When you are live streaming, you are essentially, for all intents and purposes, talking to yourself. There's no audio coming back. There's no indication whatsoever that anybody is watching. And what I try and do, oh, Joe Raider, come on now. Anything to speed up the unboxings. Wigwag, at the end of the stream, remind me. Someone remind me around 9 o'clock to check the poll. That's what I need. Caddyshack, good reference right there. Yeah, exactly, right? I mean, nobody listens to me ever, so I'm used to talking to myself. So that's, that's kind of, I think the way it goes. I need a box. What do we need a box for? Ray, 9 o'clock. It's not 9 o'clock yet. In any time zone, I don't think it's 9 o'clock, because I think when you cross the river that we call an ocean, I think, are we 1 hour ahead? I don't know. Anyway, 9 o'clock. Martin says nobody is watching. John says, I just leave in the middle of the show. There you go. Junction Senior says, I need a guest. Are you saying I'm not interesting enough? Is that why I need a guest? It's 10 a.m. It is 10 a.m. somewhere. That is probably true. So let's just take a quick look at some of the upcoming things that I'm doing. One of the things that I don't have on this list is I am getting the opportunity to run on the New York and Atlantic Railroad this coming up Saturday. It's one of the railroads that I'm really looking forward to. There's a lot of technology on it, a lot of operations, methodologies in different areas that I'm excited to see. And as a part of the rabbit hole that I am pretty deep in right now, which is operations, I'm going to be doing that this weekend. No unboxing. No unboxing. One of the things I do have, though, if you haven't seen it, I've got an email list. You can go to email.humancity.com. No. Don't go there. Email.humancity.org. Link again down in the description. And I write a little bit about, like, this weekend I'm going to the New York and Atlantic. I've got a link to that, and then I've got a link to the different layouts that I'm going to for Island Ops, which is coming up in 2 weeks. Then I also just, kind of show what's coming up and show what has already happened on the channel. So if you're not on the email list, it's kind of a fun little way to stay in touch with various things that are coming up. But first thing on this events list is the Manhattan Modelers Meet. We're doing a Zoom meet on the 17th, and then our first in-person meet on May 1st. I will not be there, unfortunately, but April 29th at 8 a.m. At some diner near the Timonium Train Show, Robert and Wilmer will be at some diner. And I haven't sent you stickers, James. I thought I had sent you stickers already. I'm not coming to Timonium, unfortunately. I was there last October, I guess it was. I forget. But Robert Wilmer at 8 a.m. will be at some diner. At 10 a.m. they'll be at the food court at Timonium. So if you like food and you want to meet Robert and Wilmer, check that out. That is happening. Things are happening everywhere. That happened last week. It was a mistake. I accidentally actually made a mistake, and I didn't cancel one of the emails, so it ended up sending two. But normally I do it correctly as well. Derek says, Heath, when you go on another show, do you like them to say hello to you or just wait until your 40th question? Personally, I don't mind the hellos at the very beginning. But I don't know. Our community is one of the only communities that I'm a part of, at least, that does it on their live streams. Other communities don't do it. I think it's an interesting thing. I don't know. Everyone keeps asking about an unboxing. I don't have an unboxing today. The only thing that I have today is rabbit hole stuff. Ray says, I was going to suggest the food court to meet. Yeah, so food court at 10 a.m. on the 29th is where Robert and Wilmer will be. There we go, Nautilus Diner. I couldn't remember. I knew it started with an N. I thought it was like Ninja Diner or something like that. I couldn't remember. Dennis, you can't just jump to the 39th question. You got to ask 1 through 38 first. So get on it. Do we need to send you a box of things? You can send me a box of things. Put something in a box. I've got jewel cases on my desk. I don't have any boxes though. So I'm not sure what box I would open. Yeah, the boxes went down the rabbit hole. Steve says, we say hello because most of us like one another and want to feel the connection. And that's it. I don't deny that I think you see a lot of boxes behind me? I don't deny that saying hello is a big part of what has built the community. I guess my theory on it is that through our communication and through our conversation and me, clicking on a link and bringing your name up on the screen and stuff like that, I think has just as much impact to build the community as saying hello. I think, maybe. So it's something I'm considering. Although now that I've talked about it for 12 minutes, I might as well have just gone and done it anyway, because we would have been in the same place then as we do now. Lynn says, I feel bad saying hello when I miss someone. And that's the other thing is, if you say a group hello, it kind of covers everybody. But if you start calling out individuals and then miss people, Waycross, you were just live like an hour ago. Unless that was a different Waycross, but I'm pretty sure you were just live. That is true. The more comments, the better you score. And I love it when, I love it. Everyone can say hello to each other as well. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Athern says hello to a bunch of people and they're a company. Heath does engage with his audience better than most, if not all, of the streams I've seen. And that's ultimately my goal, is to engage with people in a more organic way. I know I'm talking, you're listening, and how organic is it? But I feel like reading comments and picking comments out and actually bringing people's suggestions and comments into the stream and then talking to them has the potential of being more impactful than, and I'm not going to call any manufacturers out, but there are certain manufacturers that may say hello to people, but then ignore the chat for an hour and do their own little thing, or a half hour or whatever. So I think it's, I don't know. We'll see. Also, many of you all just said hello to each other on the last stream an hour ago. That is true, too. That is very true, too. This is one of the things I really love about this community is that there's streams at 7, there's streams at 8, there's streams at 9, and we can all hang out with different hosts and different streams. So that is very true as well. It's difficult to include the audience with a guest or co-hosts. I think it depends. What I try and do when I interview somebody is I have I have an outline of things that I want to cover, but then if people are engaging on topic in the chat, I love bringing them in to be a part of the conversation as well. So, you know, and this is Ice Dragon. There is no standard on streaming. Just got to do what you think you'll get the most out of it. Yeah, and this is the other reason why I'm thinking of dropping it, is because if I name 30 people and I miss 2 or 3 of them, then you get those comments. Why didn't you say hello to me? And that's it. We can say this is the first rabbit hole. I got back into model railroading before the pandemic, but then big time during the pandemic as a part of streaming. So this whole thing, kind of analyzing YouTube, analyzing streaming, analyzing this aspect of the hobby, sharing it with people through this medium, is definitely a rabbit hole that I am going down as well. Dennis wants to know, what is the tech on the layout you will be operating on? And I believe you're talking about New York and Atlantic. I will have better information on that next week than I have today. I know that like some of his layout is signaled, some of it is not. Some of it has phones, some of it uses FRS radios. He uses a bunch of different sort of methods. I know he does have some camera cars. I don't know that he'll be running them on Saturday, because I think we're all going to be local on Saturday, but yeah. Heath, just wait until people start calling you on the phone. Yeah, exactly. I don't know if live streaming at 5:40 is a good time, because I don't get from work at 5 p.m. and it's my first since February. Figuring out the time to live stream is very, very difficult. January, the live stream numbers went up, and there was a lot more activity back in January. Now in April, the numbers have dropped significantly. So I think it kind of all depends. Yeah, I know. It's inheritance type of streaming. My 2 cents, if you want to be famous on YouTube, do pre-recorded, edited videos. Don't live stream. We should all be adults here. You would think. But not necessarily. Yeah. Well, Daniel, that is yeah, exactly. Oh, Mike, what are we gonna do? Yeah, and that's it too. I mean, some people don't want to chat necessarily, but you know, they're just as much a part of all this as anybody else. I still think if we could get Andy Crawford and Ralph Renzetti to do a weekly live stream, I would call it the Odd Couple of Model Railroading, and it wouldn't just be DC versus DCC. It could literally be any topic in model railroading. The 2 of them could agree on a topic, but if they are on a live stream together, one of them will disagree with the other one just because. So I think that the Odd Couple of Model Railroading with Andy Crawford and Ralph Renzetti, that if somebody produced that show, that would be probably the best show ever on the YouTube model railroading community. Yes, I can absolutely get my bot to say hello to everyone that says hello. Absolutely, absolutely. So I am not going to go down this rabbit hole, because that is a very, very deep rabbit hole. But I thought I would just start listing out some of the rabbit holes I've been down. Some aren't very deep rabbit holes. Some are kind of surface level rabbit holes. Some get very, very deep. And some are so bottomless that I don't think I will ever get to the bottom of them. So I started making a list. And I thought this one would be a good place to start. Yeah. Cameron, do you really want a bot to say hello? It already pops up and like waves to everybody. I thought that would be kind of enough. Ralph, there's no such thing as freelance and prototype. Everything is proto-lance. And if you don't get that joke, I'm sorry, but you got to be in the loop to get that joke. So this isn't... So tonight is not a versus, it's not a versus conversation. So I thought first on my list, I have rearranging an organization. Definitely a rabbit hole I've been down. As people know, these shelves behind me here, I have rearranged these shelves more times than I can count. I think these shelves are finally going to stay kind of where they are. Although the shelves on this side, which are the shelves behind the camera, I really want to change. But to make that change is going to require a little bit of a Herculean effort to do it. So I'm not sure how soon it's going to happen, but we're gonna get there. Right now, my biggest thing that I'm working on though is I've got all of these plastic drawers, and some of them, like the ones right here, are actually completely empty. And my goal is to organize and get everything basically just easier to find and easier to kind of like know where some things are. Because sometimes, and this is the other thing, right, is every time I organize, I do lose things. So I try not to organize too much, but definitely organize as much as needed. Yeah. I only have empty this area should be empty because the airbrush station should actually be turned and taking up that spot. So things are encroaching in on me slowly. And Ray, I couldn't agree more. I lose things all the time on my workbench when I am working on things. So along with rearranging an organization, I've had a little bit of drama with the label maker. I think that's the best way to put it. I've got some big labels. I've got some small labels. If people don't know, I've got these little labels here that, of course, it won't really focus on. But these are the labels that I got on the tops of my boxcars. I am a little obsessed with my label maker, but I like it. 10 tape measures and all of those pencils. It's funny you mentioned the pencil thing. I don't think I showed this, but when I was working on my car cards, this is like a bin of pens and stuff. I've got more here. I've got more over there as well. I don't have 10 tape measures, but I definitely have a lot of pens and pencils. Ralph, that is very true. I am definitely falling into the trap of obtaining more than I can use, which is the other reason why I want to organize. I have been doing quite a bit of spring cleaning. I have a small storage unit that I just went through, and I am emptying a bunch of stuff out. I am taking some books down to a local bookstore that buys some things, and I'm going to try and get rid of some of that stuff. There's some Lionel boxcars that I bought at some point on a whim that I am going to probably get rid of as well. So part of the reorganization or rearranging an organization is going to be a paring down process. John, I understand that. The one thing that helps keep my workbench clean is that this workbench, the one here that's a little bit of a mess right now, but during the regular 9 to 5 workday thing, I've got my work computer with 2 screens that sits right here on this desk. So I have to clear this desk up at least somewhat so that I can get my work computer in there, because it is work that ends up ultimately paying for all this stuff. You say that's too clean, but if you look up here and you look kind of over here, you can see things are just like, they're kind of a little bit of a mess. They're kind of a little bit of a mess. You miss spring cleaning? No, you can still do it. You can still do spring cleaning. I get that, you know, officially spring is sprung, but you can, yeah, you can do it. Okay, everyone, send Heath pens and pencils along with the tape measure. No, no. Do I have book 3? John, I actually found, again, a very dangerous place, but I was on eBay, and I found a guy that was selling 1 and 2. I don't know if he had 3 or not. I did end up buying it, but I got 1 and 2 for $6.40 each. As well as I got another copy of this for $6.40, and I think I'm gonna send it to somebody that's interested in operations. But even no matter what the condition of it is, I felt like for $6.40 to get the other ones in this series would be a good thing to do. Yeah, usually my desk is a mess. Well, I know. This is kind of a mess for me. Yeah. Everyone, I know. Next thing, tools. I don't know about anybody else, but I do have, yes, Bruce Chubb's book on operations. I've got this one, and then I've got another one coming because, yeah. I found a volume 3 for not $75. I was not going to pay $75 for it. That is for dark. Oh, you know what? Actually, I think I found a copy of it for $35. I was really considering getting it because I thought like, oh, it'll be good to complete the collection. And then I looked at the industries that are in volume 3, and I'm not modeling any of those industries. And I just kind of thought, like, I don't need to get that, like, there's no reason to get that book because it doesn't have information that I specifically need at this moment. So maybe I'll get it at some point, but not at this moment. This one, the reason I got this one, number 4, is because it's got lumber, which is somewhat related to my toothpick factory. And it's got waterfront operations, which is kind of related to my freight terminal and my car float operations. So I got this one specifically because it had those 2 industries in it. And then I got the other ones because they were $6.40. And I thought that was a pretty good deal. Thanks, Dennis. Yeah, that was, I really enjoyed that stream. That is the Crossing Gate folks that I mentioned earlier that did a rabbit hole conversation. We're probably going to do a podcast, or I'm probably going to do a podcast with them, a little bit more about operations, but we're going to try and, I think, do more of these, like, really breaking down operations as well. Derek says you'll buy it, you must complete the series. Is one of the mine operations. Number 4 has quarries, which isn't a mine, I know. But yeah, so you can, number 4 you can find for not a ridiculous amount of money. So yeah, I think this is funny. No need to say hello back. If you haven't yet answered the poll, we got 61 votes so far. Mine is, it is. I know. I'm gonna try not to though. I am absolutely not spending $75 on a book just to complete the series. Derek, no, everybody can say hello, and I'm saying hello to people by bringing up their comments. I have between 1 and 3, maybe more, of every tool, even some I don't use, because I organize. So back to my list. That is one of the things. I have multiple like side cutter, sprue cutter type of things. But outside of that, I like having very purpose-driven tools, tools with a single purpose. For example, I do have a pair of pliers that, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Roy Hardwick got me, that are for putting in pin nails for your track. And while those pliers aren't universally useful, they are very, very useful for that. So I like that. I like that sort of thing as well. Dennis, if you want information on ore, the person that I know, that some of you know, that has gone down the rabbit hole of ore operations is Thomas Gazier, Split Rock. Split Rock has gone way down that rabbit hole where he could probably, off the top of his head, answer that question. So to answer Ralph's question about X-Acto blades, I don't have very many X-Acto blades. What I do have is I've got these 2 pill bottle containers. This one's got new number 11 blades. This one's got old number 11 blades. And that basically I just swap them out and swap them over. And when this thing gets full, I'll just throw away the whole bottle of them. And then I do have, these are my my backup thing of blades, which I don't know why I bought the Z series blades. I got pulled in by the marketing. They weren't that much more expensive than the regular blades, so I figured I'd try these out. But you don't need to get these blades, just get the regular blades and swap them out. I don't know what happened to 1 through 10. I actually have some. Oh, how many handles? I have this one, and then I think I have 2 or 3 more in here. I think that's all. Now, so this is the X-Acto handles, but I also have other handle type things like this that hold like these type of blades and other things as well. So I don't have a huge amount of handles. This is my favorite handle by far. The Fiskars is probably my next favorite, although the Fiskars doesn't lock as well as I like. This one I find much easier to keep the. Is that all? Yeah, I mean, how many do I need? I don't need that many. I have 2 N scale rail gauges, and that's just because I lost one and couldn't find it, and I knew that the only way I was gonna find it is if I bought a new one. So this is the Olfa X-Acto blade holder, or I should say the Olfa number 11 blade holder, and I really like this. I really like this holder. So yeah, I am gonna try not to cut myself. The only blades I have are number 11 and number 18. So at most I really only need 2. I'm not doing a lot of scenery work right now, so X-Acto blades, I go through them very quickly. I'm primarily, I'm not cutting up little things. But yeah, this one's pretty good. Spend the extra money, get some good handles. Which industry book are you missing? Number 3. So I have Number 1 and 2 coming, and this one is number 4. And you can see I've even got little post-its marking where the lumber pages and the waterfront pages are, so that I can read that. But yeah, I didn't get number 3 because I don't have any industries that relate to it. So let's take another look at a different rabbit hole. I thought of getting scalpels, but I haven't because I'm afraid of them a little bit. But yeah, I usually have 4 in action. Yeah. Another rabbit hole that I think several of us get into is glue. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm looking over here and I've got 1, 2, 3. I saved 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got my CA glue, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got like 10 different glues. I don't know why. But it's definitely a rabbit hole that I went down, was trying to find out which glues to use. So just because people are talking about it, I think this might be the Olfa blade that I'm getting. So this is an Olfa handle for a number 11, but this is the Olfa blade with the break off ones. Could it be I'm an easy mark? Yeah, come out with something and tell me that it is slightly different than something else. There's a couple reasons why I have so many glues in particular, but a lot of it has to do with that I'm relatively new, and I keep taking suggestions from people. Here's just a simple example, right? Which one should I use? Should I use Well-Bond or should I use tacky glue? Or I even have like wood glue and Mod Podge. And they all do similar things, but they all do different things. I don't know that we're going to get through all the items, not on my list. Yeah, that's a little bit of a rabbit hole for me as well. I'm a collector, not a hoarder, and I'm thinking about it. So that makes me no different than the rest of us. Yeah, like I don't know. I don't know which glue to use for certain things. So I ended up with a couple different glues. I try them out. Some work better than others, and some don't. Yeah, right. Plastorex for styrene, Elmer's for wood glue, Gorilla super glue for everything, Walther's goo for everything. I mean, and that list that you just listed, that's a short list too. I mean, there are many different kinds. The reason I don't like the break off knives is I get nervous breaking them off. What I've started doing is I have a pair of linesman pliers, not those, these. I have a pair of lineman's pliers, and I've started using these when I break off the things, just because I get very nervous just sort of snapping them and having them fly across the room. Derek, hurry, quick. Yeah, I have books is somewhere on this list, but books is another rabbit hole of mine that I've got more books probably than I'll ever read. Yeah, so that is what pliers are for. Okay, so I'm not the only one that uses pliers to break them off. This list is completely random, completely not in order. Turnout motors and turnout indicators. I went through a little bit of a rabbit hole with the time saver, with what turnout motors to use, and I ended up using Smales. Then I went through the what turnout motor to use for this back here, which is my little safety stop on the layout. Actually, I think if I use this, you can probably see it better there. This right here, the little safety stop on the layout so that the train doesn't run off when the peninsula is down. And then I went through it again with thinking about what I might want for the rest of the layout. So I've been down the turnout motor and turnout indicator rabbit hole several times. Several times. It's the last one. I know, I'm sure it's the last one. Did you know that the break-off knives come with a tool? Come with a tool, or there is a tool that you can buy? Ooh, that's not good. There's a slit in it, insert the blade and snap it. But does it come with it, or is it something you buy extra? Oh, I know. I mean, that's the real shame of this is I do budget every year for the last 8, 9, 10 years at least. And I know exactly what I spend on this hobby every year. Exactly. Who doesn't use pliers to break off blades? See, and these are the kind of conversations that if I haven't brought it up, I wouldn't have known that other people do it. It's part of the handle. Yes, it comes with it. It's the slit, as mentioned. But I only have one handle. So if I only have this one handle, and I want to break this off, what slit do I stick it in to break it off? I may have to look that up. I don't know the Yeah, I've done that a couple times and it scares me. I like the number of 11 blades, taking them out. Oh, it's the end cap that you remove. Oh, interesting. Oh, this one doesn't have an end cap. So this is the Alpha. This is the really cheap one. The cheap ones have this end cap that it sounds like if I can pull off. Push. Oh, there we go. I don't know. Anyway. That's a rabbit hole we can go down right there, is tools. Where's your end cap? I don't think I have, I don't think I had, yeah, mine doesn't have it, at least not on my Alpha. So if people don't know, if you can't tell, one of my rabbit holes is cameras. I've got quite a few cameras on the layout, or in this room, I should say, right? So I've got this close-up camera, I've got the medium shot camera, I've got the wide shot camera, I've got the overdesk camera, I've got, which one? I've got a yard camera here, I've got a camera on this industrial area over to the side there, I've got a camera on staging. This camera right now just shoots at my back, but this is actually going to be for the car float at some point. And then I've got these 6 layout cameras as well. I do actually have a camera up here as well that I'm not really using for anything, but yeah, I have I'm a little bit down the rabbit hole. The Alpha 7 has it. There we go. And it pinches the bottom of my boot. Oof. Oof, oof, oof. Yep, box full of cameras. Well, right, I didn't even get to those cameras, right? I mean, I have the big cameras over there. I've got another GoPro there. I've got so many cameras. That is definitely... Oh, Fred, that's too funny. I may have more cameras than Opododge, but I don't know that I have more cameras set up than Opododge has. Trackside Mike, thank you so much for the $6.99 Canadian Super Chat. Great stream as always, Heath. I'm in the background watching. Thanks for being in the background or in the foreground or anywhere that is appropriate. which now would be an appropriate just time to just thank everyone in the community, thank people that are supporting the channel, thank the sponsors. Do check out the sponsors. If you haven't checked out Iron Planet Hobbies and checked out their pricing, definitely something to take a look at. He's been adding a lot of new vendors so he can get a lot of new stuff. I'm going to take this opportunity to take a quick drink of my water, and I'll be right back.
It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity.
So if you don't know, Joey from Late Night is a photographer. He says, I challenge you to work a large format camera in there. I don't have a large format camera, but I do have a full frame sensor camera in here, which I don't use as often anymore. I want to find a way to get it more into my workflow, but I just don't have it in there right now. But cameras, definitely a rabbit hole. Some other rabbit holes that I think people know about are circus trains. I might have a few different scales of circus trains, Z, N scale, HO scale, S scale, O scale, and G scale. So yeah, that's about what I have. Another type of trains that's kind of down the rabbit hole is the GG1 collection, which I think people know about. One thing that I don't think people know about that I don't talk about a lot is I'm a big fan of passenger trains, especially heavyweight passenger trains, but just passenger trains in general. Growing up along the Northeast Quarter, I think that is kind of where I got my love for passenger trains, and I do I do have a bit of them. It's not. I have a decent collection, not a big collection. Ralph says, "Where do you keep it all?" This is kind of the answer. If you know, there's stuff way up there. There's stuff down here. You can't even see it, but there's stuff over there. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. So the S scale. The S scale is in a box up there, top corner in the back. I did actually, and this is a project I need to do. I got an oval of S scale track. I got to clean it up. It is definitely a bit grimy, but it should work. So I may have to get that circus train down from up there and get it running in a loop. Train room is 8 foot by 9 foot. It is 9 feet this way and 8 feet this way, and it is 11 feet that way. So if I could lay the room down on its side, I would have more room. So yeah, not 20 feet, just 11 feet. The number of scales that I collect in is essentially the circus train stuff is what I collect in, and what I primarily run is the N scale stuff. Yeah, Lynn posted that he got some circus trains, and I was like, it's got to be really special at this point for me to get it as a collector piece. There's still a couple of things that I'm getting in regards to my operations setup, but I'm not getting any collector stuff right now. Boxcars. I grew up liking the I know. Yeah, passenger trains, because they need really wide corners. So yeah. Daniel, you have no idea. That is completely true. So boxcars. I grew up with the Tyco. I'm looking to see if I can reach them easily. The Tyco billboard boxcars. I think I moved them all up there. And so I've always kind of had a thing for that billboard type of boxcars. So I started collecting some of them in N scale. Microtrains has always come out with really interesting ones. And now that I'm getting into operations, yeah, exactly. I have Old Dutch Cleanser. You know, I went down the rabbit hole of you know, even getting the Old Dutch Cleanser ones in N scale. Oh, it's on this side. Of course, I'm holding on the wrong side. But Old Dutch Cleanser, I've actually got a couple of these. There's more than one that is in N scale with different numbers and stuff. So yeah, I started kind of getting some of them for that. And now that I'm doing operations, I've definitely been adding more boxcars. The other thing that I've been adding more of since operations is 4-axle motive power. That is a rabbit hole as well. N scale 4-axle motive power, especially that has sound on it. So I'm a huge Amtrak fan, but obviously East Coast, not West Coast. What is your trim room called by people that an office? This floor of my building are these smaller office spaces. This used to be one big office, and they did a renovation and split it up, and I took the small space. So yeah. Yeah, Marty, I know you're one of them, and Marty's one that doesn't just stick to one hobby. Marty's got a couple of hobbies that he's got rabbit holes in. Another rabbit hole of mine, multi-scale. As people know, I have collected quite a few circus things in various scales. Airbrushing is kind of a newer rabbit hole, but it's a rabbit hole I really want to get more into. I really want to start doing more airbrushing. I have a lot to learn. That is a rabbit hole that I am just skimming the edge of at this point. I've had a little bit of a hard time because of the amount of stuff in here, and that's part of why I'm doing a lot of the reorganization stuff. But I've got a decent setup here to my side that is going to be kind of my airbrush area. It's on wheels, so I can roll it around, and I think it's going to work pretty well for what I need, but I haven't quite gotten there yet. But I've had many conversations with Ralph about it, and it is a rabbit hole I definitely want to go down. If you don't know, the green paint reference is that the colors of my railroad are that dark green color, and I went through a little bit of a process to try and find the right green color, and Cameron from Caboose 121 insists the color should be a color that I insist it should not be. And I'm gonna win, but you know. Is there a start a project and move to the next one before the previous one is done? Yes. That would be a rabbit hole as well. The NMRA is a rabbit hole in itself, and you can kind of add. Oh, Joey gets it. Joey gets it. That's the code right there. A little blue, a little green, no red. That's what it is. Lynn, I had 5 airbrushers, 2 compressors, and more. The NMRA or any sort of social groups. I did the electric achievement program. What is it called? Electrical engineer or something like that. I forget. It's on my website if you go to humancity.org. And then also just trying to get involved in the division and the region. I'm involved in the region right now, but I feel a little bit like I overcommitted myself. I'm not getting done what I need to get done, and I need to focus. I need to focus a little bit more on getting some of the stuff done for the region, but you know, rabbit holes and all. Here, let's see. Here's Marty's rabbit holes. 187th RC vehicles, remote operations, animations, ON30, and Moran clubs. Yeah, exactly. Oh, there you go. Drones. That's a good rabbit hole. Lynn rejoined the NMRA. Speaking of things to consider, books. Books is definitely on the list. I just even showed right now. I don't think you even saw this last one, but I've got Express Mail Merchandise Service here. A bunch of different operations books. I do actually have kind of a whole library of model train books down here along the side. The majority of them that I still have to read, along with magazines that I need to read. Why I'm saving magazines that I know I'll never get back to, I don't know, but do you keep a list of your rabbits that prioritize my need? No. Part of why I decided to do this stream tonight is because that's one thing that I need to do, is reorganize all of this. So part of me making this list is that now I can go through and do a little bit of prioritization. And this is Ray. This is what I need to do, is I just need to go through them. I need to read what I'm going to read, and then, you know, all but the special ones, I just need to get rid of. And when I say special ones, I mean like Thomas Splitrock was on the cover of Railroad Model Craftsman, so like I would keep that one as an example. January 2023. Yeah, Container Man, I don't know, you got to get into that. You got to get in that. Let's see, so other things as well. We're getting a little bit more obscure, a little bit more in depth with things. Billboards. Miller Electric billboards. I've got a whole collection of them. I've got a bin over here on the side of billboards. I want to do a whole little area of just all the billboards in one spot. The problem that I'm having with the billboards is that they use electroluminescence, and it creates this really high-pitched buzz. And I want to try and find a way to kind of minimize that buzz because it's pretty loud. So that's a little bit of a problem. But no, Derek, I don't need 35. I don't want 35 years of model railroader. Yeah, Dennis, that's the biggest problem I'm having though too, is my to-do list is just huge. It's just way too big. Soldering is another one, along with something like airbrushing, that takes skill. It takes a lot of skill, a lot of practice. Soldering is something that I do very poorly, but I want to get better at it. I'd like to be able to start doing my own decoder installs, but before I get down into that, yeah, I need practice, basically. Scenery is something I haven't really gone down the rabbit hole big time, but I've gone a little bit down the ballast and the ground cover rabbit holes, more so the ballast. I got that ballast vacuum that I think some people saw I did a video on, and ground cover and stuff I played with a little bit on the T-Track modules. Scenery, structures, that sort of thing is something that I am very, very new to, but it is something that I am thinking a lot about, that once I figure out the operations thing, I will, my goal is to get some ground cover on this layout sooner than later, but I want to make sure that I like where the tracks are first. So yeah, and this is I used to do like how did it work? I think it was A1, A2, A3, and then B1, B2, B3, and then C. So you had groups A, B, C, and D, and then within those groups you had 1, 2, and 3. Sorry for that. I didn't want to cough with the mic on. Scenery is the best part of model railroading. I think wiring is the best part of model railroading. But that's also what I think is great about model railroading is these are my rabbit holes. These don't necessarily have to be your rabbit holes. So I think that's what's fun. That's what's fun. So I did just close the poll thanks to Mr. Wigwag reminding me, and the poll did come back with 94 votes. I'm going to see if I can copy this in because I can't share it. I can't share it unless I copy it in. I know people dislike that I copy it back in. I don't know. Okay. Hello, individual hellos or a single hello to everybody. 63% said to just do general hello, a single hello, and then get into it. And 36% said do individual hellos. So for a little while, I'll try and experiment, and I'm going to drop the hellos at the beginning and then try and just add more interaction with the community and with the chat. So that's the goal. Micro Mark was selling a resistance soldering machine for pretty cheap, and I wasn't sure if I trusted it or not. So do the first 36. Bill, you're not late. We are still going down the rabbit hole. This is a good one here. Couplers and wheels. Most of my stuff's micro trains. I'm putting micro trains, couplers on everything. I don't know if I'm going to metal wheels on everything or just some things or just certain things. I'm not really sure what I'm doing yet. But that's a rabbit hole in itself, is swapping couplers, swapping wheels. When you buy like a boxcar for 20 bucks or something from, let's say, Atlas, and then you decide to swap it over to microtrains couplers, it's just a whole additional cost added on that you don't really think about when you get into it. Definitely going to swap out the Kato couplers on some of my Kato locomotives. Going to try and keep some of the Atlas and microtrains couplers as is, but yeah, and this is what I'm thinking too, is when I know what I'm going to run a lot, I will probably put metal wheels on it as well. And that's it. I didn't necessarily want to buy one spur of the moment, just because I like researching things. So in HO scale, I definitely believe that is true. I think, and this is probably a good topic for a video if somebody wants to, but I think the plastic wheels that are on HO scale are different than the plastic wheels that are on N scale. I think the plastic on N scale wheels is harder. And I think that would be a great video or a great topic for somebody to look into, because a lot of N scalers don't swap to metal wheels. So yeah. They are not. So they are are you saying they are the same, or are you saying they are different? Because I don't know. But yes, I do research things to death. I think it's important to learn. I think it's great to grow, expand, change your ideas as things. They aren't the same. They are in the Ame. I think he's saying they aren't the same. And I agree. I think they aren't the same, but I don't know what the differences are, which I think would be good to test, because a lot of people say, oh, they are the same. Apparently they are the same. In my experience, I don't hear a lot of N scalers saying you have to change to metal wheels, whereas HO scalers seem to say you absolutely have to. So I don't know why there is a difference. And Fred, that's a good point too. Is all these rabbit hole things, right? You gotta kind of balance. You gotta balance it out a little bit. The next thing I put on here is sound. All the locomotives that I'm buying them with sound built in for the most part. There are a couple that I bought without it, but for the most part, I'm trying to do it. So are they all Delrin? I guess that's what I don't know. Are the HO scale ones Delrin and the N scale ones Delrin? Sound in locomotive, sound in rolling stock. I do have some BLI and some Athearn rolling stock that have decoders in them. And layout. I've got like a thunder and lightning setup that does thunder. I also want to have some sound modules for various things as well, like maybe some park sounds for like my little park and other stuff like that. Russ, I thought it was pretty obvious that YouTube live streams were definitely a rabbit hole. Is this true? N-scale modelers are more chill? I don't know if that's true or not. Metal wheels make for a lower center of gravity and should navigate turnouts better. I do agree with that, but it adds very little, very, very little on N-scale. I have found in my experience, very limited experience, I will admit, very limited, but if you swap to metal wheels and then add 1/8 inch stick-on metal weights directly over the trucks, that works pretty well, but that just adding the metal wheels on their own doesn't really add enough weight. It does reduce the rolling resistance though. So they definitely roll better. So if your layout is not perfectly flat and you have plastic wheel sets, your boxcar will stay in place. If you have metal wheels, they will probably roll wherever they want to roll. And John, that's important too, is when I'm figuring out the sound for various things, I want to make sure it can all be turned on and off. So that is definitely something important for me. Yeah, I did a live stream and then I edited it down into a smaller video as well on metal wheels. I think if somebody wants to search for it, you should. If you search metal wheels on my channel, theoretically, I think you might be able to find it. Yeah, you know, it might be interesting to reach out to a company like Atlas or an Athearn, both of them actually, and say, hey, you know, you make N scale and HO scale cars. Are they all the same plastic? Not sure. And that's another thing too, is just turn the sound down. It's good to be able to hear the sound because I think it's nice when you're operating, but if all of your cars are at oh, sorry. I tried muting and I missed the button. If all your cars are at the same volume and it's just a cacophony of sounds, especially in a small room like this. And Fred, that's true, and that is what I discovered. I'm not saying that Atlas plastic's inferior to Microtrain's plastic. I'm trying to I want to compare N scale to HO scale. Yeah, I don't do that. Except for my live streams, I edit everything. Sunrise, sunset lighting, I've mentioned this. This is one of the rabbit holes that I'm down right now, as well as other layout lighting. Something that I think is very important to a layout, something I want to include in a layout. To me, lighting indicates the passage of time, and during an operation session, especially when all the windows and everything are closed, you don't have that sense of passage of time, so I think it would be fun to do that with lighting on the layout. Of course, you still need to be able to see, right? You still need to be able to see the numbers on the cars and your car cards and everything. So it's a fine line. Currently, I'm only doing live streams. I got into a little bit of a funk with editing videos, so I haven't done it much, but I do want to get back to edited videos. I think that I like being able to put out shorter videos that get concise information out there where people don't have to watch a hour-long live stream to get the information. So I do want to edit it down. Yes, JMRI does has DMX controls. I'm not going to be using DMX lighting, but yeah. Sound should be scaled the same way trains are scaled. Lighting should be scaled as well. Agreed. And I do want to do, my thought for my sunrise sunset lighting is that if I am doing a 2-hour op session, that within that 2-hour op session, we will go through 24 hours of lighting. So the nighttime lighting would only be like 15 minutes at most. So just like when the railroad crews have to work at night, things get a little harder to see. But as long as it's limited to a shorter amount of time or something, I just think it'd be fun to use it to simulate the passage of time. This is a big rabbit hole that this is one that I went into when I chose my command station. And it's one that I'm still looking into, especially with LCC getting more popular. But just the whole DCC, LCC, LocoNet, ExpressNet, S88, ESP from DCC Concepts, all these kind of both layout and motive power control. And this kind of ties in as well to DCC throttles and now LCC and Wi-Fi throttles. I'm finding all of the, at least so far, all of the places that have gone to operate, I've been able to bring my UWT throttles. And the UWT throttles, have been a great thing because then, I can bring my throttle with me. So Otter Creek and Rio Grande says, love my routes, which, LocoNet has routes. So it's like, do I need LCC for routes? Like what? With the size of my layout, I don't know if LCC makes sense yet, although I like LCC for the just the learning opportunity and the experience. So I know LCC will do routes, but I also know like Digitrax LocoNet will do routes. I know ExpressNet will do routes. S88 will do routes. Like all of the systems will do routes. It's just kind of, anyway, we don't need to go down that rabbit hole. JMRI or any computer control, I think, is a big rabbit hole. As I get into operations, I keep looking more and more into whether I want to invest in a software solution, primarily a solution to use as like a database to store everything. My handwriting is terrible. And I want people to be able to read my, switch lists or car cards away bills or whatever I do end up starting to use. And I forgot about that one, but MQTT, absolutely, it's something that can be used for layout control, for LED strips, for all that kind of stuff as well. So it's, and Russ was talking about 51 years of hobbies. I've never done any ops. I'm 50 now, and I didn't know there was a thing such as operations until like a year and a half ago. So I think a lot of us don't recognize some of the aspects in the hobby. And I didn't realize just how deep the operations hole is. Like the ops hole is deep, but it's not like just deep. I mean, it is deep. And it kind of brings me to this last thing. It's like there's operations that I'm doing on my layout, but then there's learning operations as well to then go to other people's other people's layouts and know their system. So for example, I went to a layout that had a timetable and train order. And there's a whole world around timetable and train order that if I want to operate on that layout, you need to know some things about it. You can't just kind of do your own thing. So while I am working on an ops scenario for my layout, I also need to consider that, you know, I might you know, end up with a completely different thing altogether. Ray says, come over here and we'll do some TWC. Who knows what TWC is? And Mike, just be prepared if you've never built a layout for ops before. As I am learning more and more about operations, I am realizing how many mistakes that I've made on my track work. And the other thing that I'm finding though is I don't really have the space on this layout to fix a lot of those things. So I'm kind of going through this this mental exercise of, oh, track work and control. There you go. Thank you. Thanks, Rob. I'm learning. I didn't realize you had said that, Ray. There's just certain things I don't think I can fix on this layout, and I kind of feel like I just have to kind of live with it. And it's going to be what it's going to be. And the next layout I do, I'll fix. Oh, that was just a guess. I think it's a good, see, that is what I thought of. For TWC, for me, is Time Warner Cable or Time Warner Companies. So I didn't realize you were guessing. I keep it simple, 2 wires to the track and a throttle, and that's what I got. I get 2 wires to the track and a throttle. I have stuff on top of that as well, but DCC, man, simple. 2 wires to the track. There you go, Rob. See, you won. Track warrant control. I didn't even know what that was. You know, now I've got another rabbit hole of operations that I need to go down. So I'm curious, you know, what are your rabbit holes? What are the things that keep you up at night that you're thinking about? I hope your model railroading is not really keeping you up at night, but you know, just the idea of all the things we want to accomplish, all the time that we have to accomplish it. And, you know, how do we get organized and stay organized so that as we go down these rabbit holes, we go deep down the rabbit holes, but we don't get lost in the rabbit holes. So hope everybody has a fantastic week. I've got some ops going on this weekend that I'll talk about next week, but please support your fellow model railroaders either online or in person or however you do it out there. And from the city that never sleeps, farewell, model citizens.
It's all about humanity. About humanity. It's all about humanity.